As is the norm in the RAF, this one was boring. The usual 9-to-5 job. We lived in matrimonial quarters. Me, Derek McPherson, my wife Lucy, and little Lily. I was in my 12th and final year as a photographer and was already looking for work in Civic Street. I had recently taken some shots for a couple from the house opposite who had just had a baby. On Saturday, I took the album I had made to them. They were thrilled and paid cash. "Do you have a new car?" asked Sally. "No, Lucy has a Ford Fiesta. I ride my bike to work." "That's what I thought. It's just that I keep seeing a silver Mercedes outside your house." "Oh, that's Lucy's boss." "Earning a promotion?" Alan said. We laughed. "No. Every Wednesday they have to check the accounts at some of the satellite offices. Lucy can't claim travel expenses, but her boss can, so he picks her up every Wednesday morning. They make the rounds, he buys her lunch and drives her back in time to pick up Lily from school. I could use the car that day, but I can't be bothered." "Of course," Sally said. "Now that I think about it, it's always Wednesday. I usually see the Merc pull up when I'm feeding Justin at 2 o'clock. That weekend, I was the photographer on duty. I had an aluminum suitcase that held everything I needed for emergencies. Duty started on Friday afternoon and lasted for a week. As luck would have it, I was called in on a Monday night. I grabbed my suitcase as the RAF police came to pick me up. I then had to take some boring photos of the door to the WRAF unit. In the afternoon, we learned that a woman had been assaulted here. They wanted to show what could and could not have been seen at 8:30 in the evening by the witness who claimed to be standing on the corner where I was. In addition to all the photographic equipment, the bag contained the keys to PhotoFlot. Us guys can't wait to finish our work, so I headed over there and processed the lot. By the time I finished and packed the bag, it was too late. A driver was already at the motor pool to take me home. The next morning, my supervisor was impressed that I had stayed late and completed the task. "You could have left the tape here and done it today. It was hardly an urgent job." "Yes, but you know how it is, Sergeant. We like to see things through to the end." "Well, that will be reflected in your next evaluation. And I heard something. If you sign on for another 3 years, you'll probably get your corporal's records." "I have to admit that would be nice. In the meantime, I know the photographer on duty is a sleeper, but I'll give you some free time. You can finish Friday lunchtime if you want. Chalky will be working after you, and he won't mind if you pick up your bag a few hours early." "Can I ask a favor, Sergeant? Can I have Wednesday afternoon off? It's a personal thing." "Sure, I don't mind, but you'll still have to bring your gear." On Wednesday, I skipped lunch and went straight home. After hiding my suitcase in Lily's room, I started looking for clues. There were 2. Mr. Merck didn't pick it up until after I left, but the bedroom curtains were closed. I always open them. And even more incriminating, there was a large beach towel lying on the edge of our bed. I guessed what it was for. I grabbed my loaded camera, stood in the doorway, and focused on it. I might only be able to get one shot. Then I made a cup of tea. The Mercedes pulled up to the house just as Sally had said, just after 2. Lucy told me that Stanhope, her boss, drove her around 2:45. Sometimes he stayed for a cup of tea. I watched him through the net curtains. I thought I was seeing this man for the first time. I was shocked. Average height and build, but bald. And he must have been about 30 years older than us. Maybe I had gotten something wrong. I retreated to Lily's room with camera in hand. They went upstairs and made their way to the bedroom. I gave them a few minutes and then crept to the half-open door. I leaned against the crack, took a picture, and leaned back. In this way, I took 3 exposures without looking. At least I got something out of it. Feeling bolder, I stepped into the slit. They were too engrossed to notice me. A couple shots of them having fun, and I backed away. No need to push my luck. I listened as they finished and went down to the kitchen. That would be it for a cup of tea. Soon he left and Lucy went to fetch Lily. I checked the bedroom. Everything was in its place. No soiled underpants, no beach towel. It was already in the wash. When Lucy got home, she was shocked at my early return, but had recovered well. The next day, I signed a contract to extend my service to 15 years. On Saturday, Lily left early. A classmate and her parents took her to the beach. When I showed Lucy the pictures, she nearly had a heart attack. "Why are you so surprised?" I asked. "Stanhope openly leaves his car here around 2 o'clock, not 2:45. Sally across the street can't miss it. So how did they not figure you out?" It was just, shut up. I know what it was, and I'm divorcing you, and no amount of wailing from you is going to change that. I don't care about the sex. You're a lousy lover anyway. There are two things I resent. One, how terminally stupid you are. You close the curtains and leave the towel. Two, you don't notice my beret hanging in the hallway, and you don't notice that the kettle is still warm. She burst into tears. And why did you choose him? He's older than your father, and he won't be able to get you a promotion in this company. I pushed the phone toward her. Call him now. Tell him he's been figured out and you've seen the proof. Tell him to get here in the next hour, or I'll show this to his wife. She did just that. He's on his way. Now listen carefully. When he gets here, go to the corner store and buy a beer. When he arrived, he looked scared as hell, especially when Lucy left. We cut to the chase. My wife has told me a lot about you. I know something that might come as a surprise to me. He looked uncomfortable. You and your wife are Catholics, and if I show her these pictures, she's not likely to give you an easy divorce. So what will your life be like if she doesn't let you go? Terrible, he agreed. Lucy also said you're saving up to buy a cottage by the sea when you retire, right? Yes. It's a surprise for your wife, and you've saved about 20,000 pounds. Perhaps I exaggerated. I'll take 18. What? 18,000 pounds. You'll just have to start saving again. Or your wife will find out what you've been doing and your bosses. You'll lose your job, your pension, everything. Okay. As with any negotiation, you wonder if you could have done better. But 18,000 would have been nice. In the early 70s, that was enough to buy a small house. Meet me at Midland Bank in the High Street on Monday at 12:30. I'll open a new account with your money. I'll be there. And don't mention it to Lucy. If I find out you did it, the pictures will come out. He left before she got home. I stopped having sex with her, without much difficulty, and was promoted to corporal a month later. It would have led to a new duty station anyway. I was lucky. 3 years in Singapore. Even under happier circumstances, Lucy wouldn't have come with me. She had a good job, and Lily was doing well in school. And until I applied for a conjugal quarter in Changi, Lucy could keep this one. Her parents were loaded with work and had to help her with housing when my service ended. For Lily's sake, we stayed married for all those 3 years. I would come home for 2 long Christmas and New Year breaks, and they came to Singapore for 2 summer vacations. The second time, Lily was 11 years old, and she flew on her own, supervised, of course. Her life was just like thousands of other military children. I had no idea if Lucy was continuing her affair. It didn't matter. I had a great time and learned a lot. I discovered that slender girls with brown eyes and black hair were more attractive than the puffy-breasted blondes I had liked in my youth. I learned Tai Chi. I relearned the guitar and was soon making money playing and singing in pubs and clubs. I did glamour photography and promotional posters for local companies, and private work became an influx. At the end of the tour, I didn't want to go home. I kept lots of contacts in case I could return. My last duty station in the UK, only 5 months, was about 100 miles from my old marital home. I had a month's leave, so I took Lily with me on vacation. By then, she had secured a place in an excellent girls' grammar school, and her favorite subject was French. It was her fall break, and we went on a tour of the south of France. I explained that I would be looking for a job when I left the RAF. I think she understood the situation with me and her mom, but didn't say anything. We spent the last few days at home. Lucy and I slept in the same bed, but no action was taken. We agreed that I would move to the single men's barracks on the new base so she could keep that conjugal quarter. But next spring, she would have to look for her own place to live. She wanted to stay in this neighborhood and in the same job. Stanhope went to work for a competing company. She told her parents about us, and they agreed to help her find a place to live. Her mother suggested counseling. Why do you need counseling? Because of my affection for older men. Then try it. I can't. I know where it comes from. When I was younger, my father interfered with me. He stopped doing it after a year when my mom almost caught us. I knew it was wrong because we kept it a secret. But the thing is, I love him. Jesus! I know it's awful. But it didn't mess up my psyche or anything. I don't have any feelings for him now. I just like older men. Do you have anyone at the crime scene? Yes. Stanhope was furious when I left him. Now I've met a widower. He's 50, and his daughter recently married and moved to Scotland. He's very fond of Lily. And now? You don't have to worry about Derek. She calls him Uncle Tim, and he's a family friend. We only see him a couple times a month. Lily realizes he once had a young daughter and knows he's lonely. We are very discreet and will not have any dealings with him until Lily is out of high school. If you want, you can meet him. I'm sure you'll get along. No thanks. On Monday, I had to report to my new job. On Friday, I went to check a few details at my second bank. As I was approaching the house, I was suddenly grabbed by two men and dragged into an alley. "We've been waiting for you, buddy. Did you have a good rest?" I didn't answer. One stood behind me, hugging me tightly. The other stood in front, nose to nose. "Our friend has a message for you." Assuming his friend was Stanhope, I wondered how such a little tomboy met such obvious thugs. One of them slapped me across the face. "This is the first part of the message. The second is the instructions. You are to go to the bank and withdraw 18,000 pounds in cash. Give them to me and I'll make sure my friend gets them. Well, most of them anyway." "Where did you get that black eye?" Lucy asked when I got back. "It's a long story. Do you have any ice?" She brought out a bag of frozen peas. "Tell me, have you had any contact with your former boss lately?" "Not in the way you might think, but a couple months ago he invited me to Franco's for coffee." "And what did you two talk about?" "Jesus, is that really his fault? I can't believe it." My eye was purple, but the nosebleed had stopped. The story came out. He apologized to her for causing the breakup of the marriage. Eventually, he got the marriage annulled and made amends, and so on and so forth. Lucy admitted that he asked when I was coming back and a few other questions about me. I assumed her involvement was innocent. She hadn't noticed anyone watching the house. "But why would he hit you? It's not like you did anything to him." So she still didn't know about my secret bank account. "Can you get in touch with him?" "I have his office number, but why would I want to?" "I'd like you to contact him Monday morning." "Okay, I'll do that." "Tell him that your husband has learned a lot during these 3 years in Singapore, including kung fu and kickboxing. There are some friends he expects money from. Tell him that they are in the intensive care unit of the city hospital.